if we can get Lamar Jackson, man, that would be something else. This is the first time we've had someone of this caliber be like, yeah, you know, it doesn't look too bad over there.
He is the greatest running quarterback who has ever played NFL
An
football.
extreme upgrade from Jared Goff. The things Ben Johnson would do, I can't even fathom.
Again, I have the concerns with the health.
It'd be so crazy. It would be so explosive. They would put up so many points.
And you're paying one person a third of your salary cap. It's just a risk I'm not willing to take. You know what I'm saying? We haven't, at least maybe talked about it in BDE. I don't know if you haven't talked about it with the heavyweights, but the Lamar Jackson to Detroit stuff.
Lamar Jackson is interesting because on one hand, he is the greatest running quarterback who has ever played NFL football. The numbers play that out. And just watching him on the field, he runs like a running back. His passing, I'm not going to say it's a concern, but he's only thrown for 3,000 yards in a season one time. And when I saw that stat, I was absolutely baffled. So I'm not sure if I want to make him the highest paid quarterback in the history of the NFL. Although as a weapon, obviously you say, yes, he's a former MVP.
Yeah.
He gets them to the playoffs seemingly every year. But what does he do in the playoffs? Usually a whole lot of not shit. So that scares me as of now. So I would not want Lamar Jackson to be the highest paid quarterback in NFL history on the Detroit Lions.
The other thing, too, is like, yeah, he hasn't thrown over that 3,000 yard mark. And part of the reason is he's only had, I think, one 16-game season.
Still,
as well.
But he's had like a 15, a 15, a 12. I believe it's
Yeah.
a 16, a 15, a 15, and a 12. And that's 3,000 yards. That's not a high benchmark in today's NFL. We know that. Back in the 70s, 3,000 yards, big deal. In the 2020s, absolutely not. I'm not saying I dislike Lamar Jackson. He's obviously a former MVP. And I called him the single greatest running quarterback who has ever played NFL football. And to me, that's not even debatable. But to make him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL on the Lions, I would say no, sir.
Yeah, and he also has not really had many weapons on the outside. I mean, obviously Mark Andrews is a stud, one of the best tight ends in the league, but outside of that, his wide receiver core has been subpar at best. Hollywood Brown is probably the best weapon he's had out there, and you watched the game against the Lions last year, he dropped like 3 touchdowns in that game alone. So I liked what I saw out of Lamar passing in week 1. I thought he did a good job. Rashad Bateman, went out there and performed on a very good level. So you got to make the call. You have to make the call. You have to see what's going on. Obviously, they still have him on this year. More than likely will franchise tag him next year if they don't get a deal done. So I don't know exactly how that'll work, but man, how exciting would that be if we brought in a guy like that?
And honestly, I'm not really tripping over the 3,000 yard mark so much either, though, because he offers so much running. I mean, he has 1,000 yard seasons. I think 2 years, 7 touchdowns straight. Like, he's clearly a threat. My concern is not so much the passing, but just the health. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously, as you get older, your body gets a little bit more, wear and tear. Running backs, they're out of the league quite quickly because of how much abuse they take. Lamar Jackson, he's not one that typically runs out of bounds. He'll try to put his shoulder down every once in a while. He'll take some contact. So, I don't know how long he'll be able to, I guess, just last in terms of, durability,
He's got a couple rounds in him.
Yeah. No, he does.
Yeah.
It's straight up.
Yeah, that is definitely a concern. You look at other quarterbacks like that, though, the one he gets compared to the most that had as much success, I'd say, obviously not as much, but had an equally successful career as he did, is Mike Vick. Mike Vick lasted a very long time. Obviously, he was also a great pocket passer, had one of the best spirals I've ever seen. Mike Vick was a freak, but Lamar, as much as he runs, he doesn't really take that many hits because he always seems to avoid them. He always seems to go untouched. He's not getting blown up like we saw out of RG3 or like we saw out of Cam Newton or different guys like that were known to take big hits, take big shots like that, and that's what set their careers back. Even Carson Wentz, who was a pretty mobile guy, would be stupid with the way he runs and would take some big hits. Andrew Luck was a pretty mobile guy, would get out and run in the pocket and took some big hits because those guys were so, we're getting this first down, we're getting those extra yards, we're going to lower our shoulder. And that's not really how Lamar runs. Lamar runs, guys don't touch him. He avoids contact. He gets around. He makes dudes look stupid out there. I can't really remember too many hits that I've seen Lamar take where I'm like, oh damn, You look at Cam Newton tape, you look at RG3 tape, you look at Andrew Luck tape, you see those guys, they get blown up in the middle of the field, or they even blow someone up in the middle of the field, and you're like, damn, that's it. You look at Lamar tape, he's more, on the outside, on the edges, making guys miss and running out of bounds. So I don't think the wear and tear on his body is too much of a factor just yet, because I don't see him getting hit that much.
I think just let alone like the amount of games he's played tells you there's some wear and tear on him. You know what I'm saying? He's quite literally getting injured out there.
But last year was his only really season where he missed some time, and he still played 12 games. So it's not too concerning to me that injury or the injury bug or anything like that, because we talked about it. Like I said, he doesn't run like Cam Newton. He doesn't run like Carson Wentz did when he was in that MVPC, where it's like they're diving to get that first yard, they're staying in bounds, they're like he'll slide. He slides at the ends of his runs. He runs out of bounds. He doesn't really get lit up ever, because if you're gonna touch him, he makes sure to get out of bounds or slides, and other than that, you can't touch him because he runs around you and he makes you look stupid. So if we can get Lamar Jackson, man, that would be something else. It would be obviously an extreme upgrade from Jared Goff. I think the offense could be so explosive if you put Lamar Jackson in there. That's just such a big threat. And with all the way, this would be by far the best accumulated amount of weapons Lamar Jackson has ever had in his career. Sure. If you 100%. Drop him in this Lions offense right now, let alone getting probably our most explosive player back in, when Jameson Williams decides to join the team, which he was posting videos of himself running routes on Instagram today, which
I heard
pretty good, pretty quick. So I would love to see, like, Lamar Jackson in this offense would be insane. The things Ben Johnson would do, I can't even fathom. It would be such an explosive offense to watch. It'd be so awesome to see. I would love to have him brought to Detroit.
Yeah, and he also gets one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, which honestly is kind of stitched together for quite some time. Obviously, Frank Ragnow just signed his big deal last year or 2 years ago at this point. But we just drafted Penei Sewell, Taylor Decker. I believe we have 2 more years. Jonah Jackson, another guy we drafted just 2-3 years ago. So yeah, he's probably drooling over. That's probably, honestly, I just noticed like 2 teams on the list: Eagles and Lions, 2 good offensive lines.
Yeah.
Miami, I'm not as familiar with their offensive line, but I know they got hella weapons.
But they got hella weapons, and yeah, like we talked about how the way Lamar utilizes Mark Andrews so well.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mark Andrews is one of the best tight ends in the league, and it's because Lamar Jackson feeds him. And think of him coming to Detroit, having T.J. Hawkinson, who he's not Mark Andrews, but he is a good tight end, a good pass-catching tight end, and Amon-Ra in the middle of that field to be guys that he feeds, running a option with DeAndre Swift out of the backfield, and then having guys that take deep shots too, like DJ Chark and eventually Jameson Williams. Like, the offense would be absolutely insane. I can't even think about it. Like, I'm about to go buy Madden, trade Lamar Jackson to the Lions just to like mess with that offense, because I think it'd be so crazy. It would be so explosive. They would put up so many points. We'd never see what we saw in week 1, where it went 3 and out, pick 6. That would never happen in an offense led by Lamar. In this same offense led by Lamar Jackson. So again, is it going to happen? I don't know. If we are on that short list with only 2 other teams, and Baltimore is really taking this long to say, do they want this guy? Are we going to keep Lamar Jackson, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, former MVP? Like, things are starting to heat up. And if he mentioned us by name, or someone mentioned us by name that he said he liked us, it's a beautiful sight to me. And I think they should pursue that as much as they can.
Last week you said no.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of trades.
Yeah, well, it's different. If he wants to come here, you go get him. Reasonably, what we would have to give up
quite a bit
would be a first-round draft pick this year. We already have 2 of them. A first-round draft pick next year. And maybe another first one. But like, you don't have to give up as much because Russell Wilson's already inked to a deal that got traded for all of that stuff. Lamar Jackson, you have to bring him in and sign him. So it's not like the Ravens have all these years that they can still hold on to, these years of player control. They don't. They're not just going to lose him for nothing if they are going to part ways with him. so it wouldn't be as big of a trade package as we saw for someone like Russell Wilson.
What do you mean? It's the franchise that's like making the decision, not Lamar.
Yeah, but I mean, Lamar could just say no.
What do you mean Lamar could say no?
If they offered him some stuff, if he doesn't want to stay there, if he feels disrespected by that, he can just not re-sign and walk. And so the only thing they can ink him down to is one more year after this year, which is a franchise tag, because you're not going to franchise tag him again, because I forget the math of the franchise tag, but I think it like doubles every year after you do it, or increases by 1.5 every year, because that's what Kirk Cousins did. Kirk Cousins made a stupid amount of money because he got franchise tagged like 3 times. So you're not going to do that. So if they're really holding on to him so much, they really only have 1 year of control unless they're willing to sign him to a deal, which it seems like they're not. So it's either let him go for nothing and he just walks in free agency, or get what you can get out of him by trading him. And no team in their right mind is going to trade the haul that we saw traded for Russell Wilson for a guy that you still have to sign to a $50 million contract.
Final Sam?
I mean, I haven't been convinced, unfortunately, but like I said, if he were to come here, if it were to happen, I would obviously be excited. I think it would be a really exciting brand of football. I think guys like DeAndre Swift, and especially TJ Hawkinson, he would probably be doing backflips. And I think Amon-Ra St. Brown would be a guy who would be a good target for Lamar Jackson, kind of more of a short and intermediate route kind of runner. I think they could make a good connection. It's just, unfortunately, in a salary cap league, it's not a conversation I like to have. I find it kind of boring. I find it kind of like, being the fun police, and I don't like to do that. But in a salary cap league, I do not want to sign Lamar Jackson to my team and have him be the highest paid quarterback, highest paid player in the NFL. I just don't want to do that. And unfortunately, that type of stuff matters in a salary cap league.
That's where I'm at too. I've always been that. One of my things when I was doing the podcast in the basement, one of my biggest videos before the trade happened, I made a video saying, hey, you should probably look around to trade Matthew Stafford. And that's when I finally did the homework in terms of what type of quarterbacks were winning these Super Bowls. Even with the guys who made it there who are average, like as Jared Goff. Mm-hmm. Jared Goff is a very average quarterback. However, he had an elite team around him. The Rams were able to afford that because he was on that rookie deal. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I will say this, but no, I'm not going to say that. Because obviously we have the plethora of draft picks to surround a guy like Jared, or a big contract guy with talent around him, and play it that way. But I just don't think Jared Goff at the end of the day is like that guy, regardless.
I agree. And this is another route the Lions could take to have success, is doing something like this, to where, like what the Buccaneers did, where you have a complete team and you go out and get your quarterback. Obviously, they don't have a complete team yet, because that defense Tampa Bay had was insane. But think this year they go defense in that first round, get Will Anderson and somebody else, bring them in here, have that team loaded, and then make a trade for Lamar Jackson as your quarterback while all those guys are on rookie deals. You don't have to, you're not paying them all that much. I'm just saying, and it's been done before.
If he wasn't a running quarterback, I'd agree. Again, I have the concerns with the health. I get that he doesn't have the same running style as Cam Newton, as other guys we've seen in the past, and I do think he's a lot better passer than people give him credit for. But nonetheless, when you're running the football, you're more at risk. It's just 100% just the fact of the situation, and you're paying one person a third of your salary cap. It's just a risk I'm not willing to take. I get it with the talent aspect. I'm saying Lamar 100% would make us. I think he'd make us playoff team this year
for sure.
I know
easily.
Yeah, I don't know if it was you or someone else who said it the other day. I don't know if we do it this year. No, we would be this year for sure. Considering our offensive line, considering the offensive weapons we have, and I think that's the reason why we're on that short list. I think obviously Dan Campbell probably a reason for that too. So I saw you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say quickly that I'm happy as a Detroit fan, as a Detroit sports fan, that he's at least interested. Whether we do it or not is a whole nother thing. But I mean, you guys are more the football people than I am. When's the last time that a quarterback this good, a MVP caliber quarterback, has said either publicly or through sources that they would like to play in Detroit?
Never ever.
Yeah. Never ever.
Gronk said he'd retire if he got traded to Detroit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is the first time we've had someone of this caliber be like, yeah, it doesn't look